When your kindness is overlooked, it slowly transforms from a voluntary gift into something you feel trapped by. Every time you give without receiving any recognition or appreciation, it chips away at your enthusiasm and your joy. Eventually, you start to feel exhausted, as though you're running on empty, trying to fill someone else's cup while yours is left dry. This is when kindness stops being a choice and starts feeling like a sacrifice. And that's a dangerous place to be. Because ultimately, kindness should be something that brings you joy and connection, not exhaustion and resentment. When it becomes a burden, it's time to reassess whether the relationship is truly balanced. If your kindness is constantly going unappreciated, it's a signal to step back, evaluate your boundaries, and take care of yourself first. You deserve to have your kindness valued, not just used. Start valuing yourself more than the fear of losing her. It's easy to get caught in the trap of constantly worrying about what might happen if you don't keep up with her expectations, or if you don't always put her first. The fear of losing someone can blind you to your own worth. You may think that if you just give a little more, sacrifice a little more, or bend a little further to make her happy, she'll stay. But that fear of losing her will slowly eat away at your self-respect. It will make you doubt yourself, your worth, and your ability to be loved for who you truly are. And when you start to value the relationship more than you value yourself, you put yourself in a dangerous position. You start neglecting your own needs, your own desires, your own well-being, all in an effort to keep her from leaving. But the truth is, you can't build a healthy relationship from a place of fear. If you constantly prioritize the fear of losing her over valuing yourself, you'll find yourself in a never-ending cycle of self-doubt and insecurity. The moment you begin to fear losing someone, you stop trusting yourself. You stop believing that you're worthy of love, respect, and happiness without having to compromise who you are. The reality is that a relationship built on fear is a relationship built on insecurity. And insecurity is not a foundation for love to thrive. Instead of living in fear of losing her, start living with the confidence that you are enough as you are. You deserve someone who values you for who you are, not for what you give or what you do to keep them happy. If she truly loves you, she will see your value without you having to prove it every day. So let go of the fear. Start valuing yourself first. If she stays, she stays. If she goes, know that you are still enough. You are worthy of love, respect, and happiness, and you don't need to lose yourself in it. Kindness is powerful. But when it starts to cost you your peace, your respect, or your identity, it's no longer kindness, it's self-neglect. You were not born to be walked on. You were not made to constantly pour into someone who doesn't pour back. When you're kind, that's strength, but when you let that kindness be abused, that's when strength turns into weakness. Don't confuse being a good man with being a doormat. Being kind does not mean allowing disrespect. It doesn't mean saying yes when your heart screams no. There is a line, and once that line is crossed, it's no longer love, it's sacrifice of self. You're not supposed to love someone so hard that you forget how to love yourself. There's a difference between giving and giving yourself away. If you're always bending, always adjusting, always accommodating, you'll wake up one day and not recognize the person you've become. You'll lose your fire, your edge, your purpose, just trying to keep someone else happy. That's not love. That's fear of being alone, fear of losing her, fear of not being enough. But the truth is, you are enough as you are. You don't have to break yourself to build a relationship. Stop showing up for someone who only notices when you're not there. Stop giving your best to someone who doesn't even try. Your time, energy, and loyal, while valuable, don't waste them trying to prove something to someone who doesn't see your worth. When you're constantly kind without return, you start teaching her that she can treat you any way she wants, and you'll still stay. But that's not how love works. Love is mutual. Respect is earned. And if you keep giving when you're running on empty, you'll start resenting the very person you're trying to please. That resentment will eat at you quietly until it explodes. And then you'll blame yourself for not speaking up earlier. So speak up now. Set the tone. Set the boundaries. Make it clear that your kindness has a limit and your respect for yourself comes first. Because if she truly loves you, she'll understand. And if she doesn't, then she was never yours to begin with. Stop overgiving just to earn love or approval. That's not love, that's performance. That's not a relationship, that's a transaction. Every time you overextend yourself to keep her happy while you're breaking inside, you're telling yourself that your love alone isn't enough, that you have to buy affection with acts of sacrifice. But real love doesn't need to be earned like that. If someone truly loves you, you wouldn't have to exhaust yourself proving it every day. You wouldn't have to fix everything, chase constantly, or sacrifice your values just to keep them close. Love should feel safe, not like a full-time job where your worth is constantly under review. When you give too much in hopes that she'll love you more, all you're really doing is placing your value in her hands, hoping she'll validate it. That's dangerous. That's how you forget who you are. You start believing that without her approval, you're nothing. And that's a lie. You were worthy before she showed up. You had value before you gave anything. You are not someone who has to constantly earn love by doing more, giving more, sacrificing more. Love is not about proving, it's about being. If she heart your effort and your intention without you bending over backwards every day, then it's not the kind of love that will last. Give, yes, but don't overgive. Love, but don't lose yourself in the process. Being overly kind can lead to being taken for granted. At first, it might feel good to always say yes, to always show up, to always be the one who gives without hesitation. But the more you give without limits, the more people, especially in relationships, start to expect it, not appreciate it. What once made you special becomes routine. What once stood out becomes invisible. And slowly, the kindness that once came from your heart begins to feel like a burden. You stop being seen as someone who chooses to be kind, and instead you become someone who's just supposed to be that way, no questions asked. That's when it gets dangerous. When your girlfriend stops noticing the effort. When she starts assuming you'll always be there, no matter how she talks to you, no matter how she acts. You get taken for granted not because she's evil, but because you trained her to believe that your kindness has no limit. And when people believe that, they stop reciprocating. They stop giving back. And that's when the relationship shifts from love to imbalance. You become the giver, she becomes the taker. And suddenly you're running on empty while she keeps asking for more. So if you feel like you're being taken for granted, it's time to pull back, not out of revenge, but out of respect for yourself. Respect that reminds people that your kindness is a gift, not a guarantee. Respect yourself enough to say no and set boundaries. Saying no doesn't make you rude, cold, or heartless. It makes you strong. It shows you have a spine. It shows you understand your worth. The problem is too many guys believe that saying no will push her away, that setting boundaries will make her think you're not committed. But the truth is, boundaries are what protect real love. Boundaries are what separate men who are respected from men who are used. If you don't create those lines, you'll end up doing things that go against your values just to keep her happy. And in the process, you'll lose your self-respect. Every time you say yes when you really want to say no, you chip away at your identity. You send a message to her and to yourself that your needs don't matter, that her comfort is more important than your peace. But what kind of relationship is that? One where only one side is heard, seen and valued? That's not love, that's imbalance. Saying no is not rejection, it's clarity. It's honesty. It's strength. And the right woman will respect you more for it, not less. She'll recognize that you are not someone who can be controlled or manipulated through guilt or silence. You are someone who leads with intention, not fear. And when you respect yourself, you teach others to do the same. Your boundaries become the blueprint for how people should treat you. So draw the line. Stand your ground. And never apologize for protecting your peace. Don't lose your identity trying to please someone else. That's one of the quickest ways to feel lost in your own life. When you constantly adjust who you are just to fit into her expectations, you start shrinking. You dim your light, your passions, your values, and even your voice just to avoid conflict or keep her interested. But the truth is, if you have to become someone else to keep her, she's not really with you. She's with a version you created for her comfort. And the longer you play that role, the harder it becomes to find your way back to the real you. A relationship should never require you to erase yourself. Yes, compromise is important, but losing your identity. That's not love, that's self-abandonment. You were not put here to be someone else's shadow. You have dreams, goals, opinions, and a purpose that matter. If she can't handle who you truly are, raw, unfiltered, passionate, then she's not meant to stand beside you. Because a woman who's really for you will love you for exactly who you are, not for who you pretend to be to keep her satisfied. Stop silencing yourself just to keep the peace. Stop trading your truth for temporary approval. The moment you feel like you can't be yourself in a relationship is the moment you need to ask, what am I really holding on to here? Because no connection is worth the cost of losing your soul. You teach others how to treat you by how you treat yourself. If you constantly allow your boundaries to be crossed, if you let your needs go unnoticed, if you keep giving without receiving, you're sending a message to everyone around you that your time, energy, and emotions are expendable. When you devalue yourself by not setting clear boundaries, by overextending, or by tolerating disrespect, you teach others that it's okay to treat you the same way. And the thing is, people will always treat you in the way you allow them to. If you don't make your value clear, how can you expect them to see it? People often mirror what they see in you. And if you treat yourself as though you are worthy of respect, love, and care, you give them no choice but to treat you the same. It's not about being arrogant or expecting perfection from others, but it is about understanding your worth. When you show yourself the love and respect you deserve, others will follow suit. When you treat yourself with kindness, with dignity, when you say no without guilt, and when you demand the respect you know you're worthy of, you raise the standard. People can't help but notice that they'll either rise to meet it or they'll fade away. But either way, you're left with a better sense of who belongs in your life. So start teaching others how to treat you through your actions, your words, and your boundaries. If you honor yourself, they'll learn to honor you too. Real love thrives on mutual respect, not one-sided effort. Too many people enter relationships thinking that love is about constantly giving, constantly sacrificing, constantly working to keep the other person happy. But real love doesn't require constant effort without reciprocation. It's a two-way street. It's about both people showing up for each other, giving, loving, supporting, and respecting each other in equal measure. When you're the only one putting in all the work, it's not love, it's a transaction, and one that will eventually drain you. The beauty of love lies in its balance, in the shared effort that strengthens the bond. When both people are invested, both emotionally and mentally, the relationship becomes something that builds you up, not tears you down. If you're the only one trying to make things work, you'll start to feel like you're doing everything for someone who isn't meeting you halfway. The joy, the passion, the connection you once felt can begin to feel more like a burden. And over time, this imbalance erodes the very foundation of the relationship. If you keep giving without receiving, you'll eventually lose yourself. You'll wonder if the love you're putting out into the world is even being felt, and that doubt will chip away at your confidence, your self-worth, and your happiness. Real love thrives when both sides care equally, when both sides show up for each other, when both sides are willing to put in the work. If she truly loves you, she will meet you halfway. If she doesn't, it's time to reevaluate the relationship and understand that you deserve more than just one-sided love. If kindness is not appreciated, it becomes a burden. At first, when you're giving from a place of love and care, it feels good. You feel fulfilled, you feel needed, you feel like you're contributing to something greater. But when that kindness goes unnoticed, unacknowledged, or worse, taken for granted, the energy you once put out with joy turns into frustration. The smile you once gave freely starts to fade, and your acts of service no longer feel like an expression of love. They become obligations, expectations, and demands. And in the process, you begin to feel resentful. You start to ask yourself, why am I doing all of this if it's not even appreciated?